Hello, everyone. A very good morning to all of you, and thank you for taking the time to join us for this fifth episode of the ServiceDesk Plus Masterclass series. This is season two, and in this season, we've been looking at some of the key capabilities in ServiceDesk Plus that helps our users, right? So let me introduce myself. I'm Siddharth. I'm a product expert with the ServiceDesk Plus team here at ManageEngine. Today, I also have with me Vishnu Priya Kumaresh, our global head of customer success and product support. So uh, she will be hosting an AMA session, Ask Me Anything session, in the second segment of this episode. In the first segment, we'll quickly go over some of the new capabilities and enhancements that were released in the last 6 months. Now, before I begin the session, could you please indicate whether you're able to hear me loud and clear, as well as see the screen using the Q&A panel, which you would find at the floating bar? You can simply type out your message and confirm that you're able to hear me loud and clear. Awesome. Thank you, Chris. So, as I said, this is the fifth episode. And in season one, we discussed some of the core service management capabilities, starting with incident management, and we ended it with IT asset management. All right, so this is season two. And in this last episode, let us quickly go over some of the new capabilities as well as get your questions answered. So, this is broadly the agenda for today. We will be discussing problem templates, which has been newly released in the on-premises version of ServiceDesk Plus. So we'll see what are the similarities between problem templates and service request templates and how you can configure one. Secondly, we'll be discussing the ZIA workflow. So we have the ZIA chatbot for some time in ServiceDesk Plus, and now we have added a conversational workflow capability to it. And finally, we'll take a look at some enhancements to change management and project management in ServiceDesk Plus. So that's broadly our agenda for today. So in this first segment, we'll quickly go over some features and enhancements to the on-premises version of ServiceDesk Plus. And the first item is problem templates. So we have introduced problem templates, which are pre-filled forms that could be used to create problem tickets much faster. So you might face problems of similar types, which involve the usual activities or tasks that you would undertake to investigate the problem and identify the root cause, right? So instead of having to fill out a form, a default problem form every time, you would now create custom problem templates with most of the fields pre-filled, saving a lot of time and effort in creating these problem tickets. So we'll also look at how you can tailor these templates using additional fields over and above the default fields offered in ServiceDesk Plus, and also take a look at the enhanced UI for the problem details page. So I hope all of you are now able to see a very familiar screen. This is the on-premises version of ServiceDesk Plus. A quick note to all the attendees, this is the Enterprise Edition, and I'm using the latest version. So you might or might not find some of the capabilities in your own installations. So with that note of caution, let me quickly take you into the admin panel. And under templates and forms, we have the problem template. So sometimes organizations often face multiple different problems, and it is possible that some of these problems might be of a similar nature or require a similar approach. So in such cases, you can reuse some of these templates to create problem tickets. So for example, let's say you have faced network outages. So you can create a network outage problem template. And this is, again, a very familiar screen for all of you. It is a drag and drop interface, much like service request templates and incident templates, which you use day in and day out. So over here, we have some of these properties, these fields which have been pre-filled. For example, network outages, even in different networks, could be handled by the same group and a very specialist technician, right? So over here, we have pre-filled those fields. Similarly, the category and subcategory have all been pre-filled. Apart from that, you can control and customize these fields on a granular level. For example, and click on customization, play around with the font color, the background color, make it more visually appealing. Now, apart from that, if the default fields do not support or are not, do not align with your own custom requirements, what you can do is click on the plus icon over here to add new fields and new sections. That is precisely what we've done here. This is a new section that we've added, and we have clubbed all those fields which will point out the criticality of the problem. So what happens here is urgency, impact, priority, and services affected are default fields. What I have done is I've added a double column section over here, which is precisely what this is, as you can see over here. And I've defined this new section, customized it with my favorite font, which is Zoho Puvi. I've added a new color to it. And with that, I brought all of these fields, related fields together to help me give a quick context about how critical the problem is. Now, apart from that, as I said, you can add additional fields by simply dragging and dropping them into the problem template. So as you can see over here, I've added a single line field. I can provide a name to it. I can choose to mark this field as mandatory, provide a default value. And as with the other fields, I can go ahead and make some visual customizations over here also. So let us discard that change. So as you could see over here, this is for a different fictional organization. Let's say that they record the history of the problem so that they don't want problems to keep recurring. Problems are to manage recurring issues. You don't really want these to become a permanent fixture in your IT. So this is how we have created a problem template for this organization. Now, apart from that, another element in the problem template are tasks. So tasks in the problem template are very similar to how tasks are handled in the service request template, right? So some of these activities, some of these operations that are done to identify what actually went wrong, to dig into the root cause and provide a permanent fix, are mostly similar for certain types of problems. For example, let us take application outages. So there might be different applications hosted on a variety of servers in your IT, but there could be a common approach to handling some of these application outages, right? There might be problem tickets from different applications. So this is how you can codify that common approach. For example, over here, some of these tasks include analyzing server logs, checking for expired SSL certificates, or creating a report on expected behavior and deviation. So these are some of the regular activities that you would take. So you can create these tasks and then assign them or mark them for different technicians. And you can also configure the dependencies. So once again, a quick revision on what are task dependencies. This is the order in which the tasks are executed, which ensures that the child tasks are not closed before the parent tasks are closed, right? And you can associate tasks right within the template through the task templates that you've already created in your ServiceDesk Plus application. So that is all about problem templates. So it's very simple. It's very similar to incident templates. And do give it a try and let us know if you face any difficulties. Apart from problem template, additional fields and tasks, let me quickly show you the enhanced UI for problem details. So you click on problems. Under the problem list view, let me quickly select this problem. So over here, the UI has been enhanced. It's now very similar to how incidents are handled. As you can see, we have a quick context on what this problem is, a description. I can also track all the conversations, which is email conversations, system notifications, and any notes which are added by both myself or by a different technician. So I can click on add notes over here. And let us say that I am a technician who has done the initial analysis of the symptoms of the problem, and I want to share them with John Roberts, who's a technician or the owner for this problem. So what I can do is can quickly use the @ symbol and tag John over here. So, and then I can type out my message for him. This ensures that the problem ticket interface itself turns into a collaboration medium. So that is our very quick overview of how there are latest new enhancements to problem management. So let me quickly go back to our presentation. So we've learned how to create problem templates. We saw how you can now add additional fields and customize your problem templates. And we also saw the new enhanced UI. Now, the next feature or capability that we are going to discuss is the Zia workflow. So most of you would be aware about Zia. For those of you who are not, Zia is the conversational virtual chatbot inside ServiceDesk Plus, and we have added a new capability called the Zia workflow. So previously, you would be able to execute certain commands, press buttons, which are pre-configured to perform certain service desk actions. Now, you'll be able to define a workflow which directs or guides the users on a conversational manner towards achieving that action. So let me quickly jump back into ServiceDesk Plus. As you can see over here, let me go back to the admin interface. Right. Now, it's more clear now. So you can see the Zia chatbot button on the right-hand bottom of the application. So let me click that. As you can see, I'm greeted with a message about how Zia could help me. I could raise a ticket, ask for a resource, or I can say I need more assistance. So I'll quickly select need more assistance. And let's say that I'm a technician and I need to execute an operation real quick. Now, what I can do next is I select task operation. Let us say that I need to add a task to a specific request. So I click on add task. Let me quickly enter the request ID. So for context, this request is for a new laptop. So the task is configure the operating system for the laptop. Just a simple task. So I provide the task details and it has been added. Let me quickly verify that. As you could see over here, this task has been added to that particular request from within Zia. So that's not all there is. You can perform a whole load of other operations from within Zia. So how do you build this conversational workflow? So under the admin panel, you scroll down to Zia bot, click on it, and right up here, if you can follow my cursor, you can see configure Zia workflow. Once you select that, a drag and drop canvas opens up. So this is a pre-built Zia workflow. As you could see over here, let me quickly, walk you back through or retrace my steps on what I just did. So we selected need more assistance. So I'm going to select that. Yes, we got this another set of options. And there I selected execute an operation. Then I selected on a task operation and then add task. So that is how I work just now. And you can see that entire conversation being codified as a workflow. So we have 20 default actions in Zia, which include adding a task. So that's what if added here. As you can see, this action cannot be edited because it is it's a default Zia action. So adding a task to this request required my input of the request ID, which I did. Then I provided the subject of the task, which was then added to the request. So how do you build all of this? To build all of this, you require two most fundamental nodes, which are the options menu and the action node. The option menu are all the choices that you present to users, both end users or technicians. as you could see over here, we look at about 4 different options menu before an action is triggered. So this way you can guide, which was the whole objective of the workflow, to guide them conversationally towards achieving a certain objective. Now, let us say that I want to perform an action which is not available as part of the 20 default actions. What do I do? So what you can do is simply drag and drop the action node onto the canvas. And then you can click on custom actions over here at the bottom. You have the plus icon. And over here, you can define a script in Deluge. Now, to those of you who are not aware, Deluge is our own low-code scripting language that we developed at Zoho, which our customers rely on a lot for extensibility. Now, you can define the scripts over here, consume some of our APIs, and decide whether the response in the chatbot should be a list, a summary, a count, or a message. So for context, let's say that you want a list of all the requests that are pending for approval, then you would select list view. Or you can select a summary view if you just want to know the status of a particular request. Count view is, again, you want the count of the number of tickets that have violated their SLAs. And a message view is something that we saw when we created our task, right? It just displays a success message. So these are the different types of views which you can configure for these actions. And you'd also decide which of the modules from which the data would be extracted or posted. So if you are proficient in Deluge, you can go ahead and try this. But if you're facing any difficulties, or if you have a use case that you'd want to implement, you can very well contact our support team and we will help you all along the way. So that is about the custom actions. And let's say that you want to change all of this. How do you do that? Let me quickly go to this first option menu and let me delete it. So now we have an empty canvas. And what I can do is I can bring an options menu over here. Let's say the title is, how can Zia help you today? Just making a few little changes. And let's say just that we're going to have just 2 buttons. I need to report an incident. And I'm sorry, I need to report an incident. Once you enter this, press enter. It's recorded. The next one is, I require a service. So these are the 2 functions or IT services that we want to handle using Zia. So I'm going to click on save. The options menu is available over here. And from the start node, from this yellow dot over here, which is the output of the start node, I'm going to draw an arrow to the input node. So we have connected this now. And remember that the whole objective behind relying on chatbots is to shift left the most number of tickets. We wouldn't want end users to actually create tickets for some of the most trivial issues, right? So one way to do that is to build a really strong conversational chatbot. So with that objective, I'm going to drag and drop another options menu node. Let's ask, do you want to take a look at our solutions before creating a ticket? So we are nudging the user towards knowledge management. So let's say, yes, I want to, or no, I want to create a ticket. So let's be as specific as possible. And let's click on save. So from the output of I need to report an incident, it once again connected to the next options menu. And from over here to another options menu, which will provide all the options to browse the knowledge base. So let's say, choose your desired action. So I'm going to add all the pre-built knowledge base related actions that are available in Zia. And let's say that if someone wants to actually go through the knowledge base, we are going to direct them to it. Now, these are all pre-configured actions. So as you could see, one branch of the Zia workflow is already complete. So these 20 actions already, cover a lot of the most common use cases for Zia actions. But as I said, if you need to go above and beyond or even connect with third-party apps, you can do so using custom actions. So I hope this you were able to get a hang of how Zia workflow is implemented in ServiceDesk Plus. So let me quickly click on cancel so that we don't make any changes to the original workflow. So that brings us to the end of the updates to Zia workflow. We quickly saw how you can build a conversation style chatbot experience, and we saw how the options menu and the action node would help you to do that. And we also discussed that if you needed an action that is not already available in ServiceDesk Plus, you could just create a custom action. Now, the next feature or the enhancement that we're going to discuss is about change management. So now you'd be able to add additional fields across all stages in a change template. So this would ensure that if you have a very specific change workflow that you follow in your organization, you want to record more information than what is already available as part of fields in ServiceDesk Plus, you can go ahead and create additional fields. And apart from that, we have added two new stages to the change workflow, which are user acceptance testing, abbreviated to UAT, and the release stage. So we'll also take a look at that. And as part of easing collaboration during the change management process, we have tasks and notes available across all the stages of the change request. So once again, just like how we saw with the problem ticket, you would be able to tag individual technicians in these notes, ensuring that your communication hazards are no longer there. And finally, we'll see how you can print data from any stage in the change request. So with that introduction, once again, let us get into the product. I'm going to click on the admin gear icon over here, and under customization, we have change management. So previously we just had 6 stages, but now that number is 8. We have UAT and release. So these two stages are quite critical when it comes to change management, because if you are making a change to, let's say, be it an internally hosted on-premises application, or to how your cloud-based productivity tools are set up, or let's even say a change in the way someone requests for a new device at your organization, you would have to ensure that it follows a proper change management workflow. And for very critical software changes or IT infrastructural changes, it is advisable and it's best practice to actually ensure that you test them out through these user acceptance testing, where stakeholders and clients would evaluate the implementation and see whether it fits their requirements. And once it's successful, you would deploy it into live production environment, which is handled in the release stage. And finally, you would review, and if all the parameters, if all the objectives are met, you would close the change. So that is broadly the objective behind introducing these two new stages. And as with the other stages, you would be able to add custom statuses, again, over and above these default statuses. So that is also available in ServiceDesk Plus. And a quick recap, you can click on Add New Status, provide the name, the action name, and you can quickly customize this notification template, which would be sent to individual technicians or the actual change stakeholders who will be the technicians mapped to these roles, so that whenever there's any update based on the status, they would be in the loop. So that is this quick overview about these two new stages. So let me also open up the change workflow, which you would find under automation, to show you how they can be added. So we have this change workflow for migrating applications to the cloud. As you could see from the numbers over here, we have up to 5 stages. But what I can do is drag and drop the stage node. And as you could see over here, we have the UAT and the release stage. So we pick and choose those statuses that we would want and simply add it over here. So by default, UAT is stage 5. So that's what has been indicated over here. So that is about these two new stages. If you're looking for a deep dive into change management, do check out our YouTube channel or the Masterclass page. We have already covered this as part of the first season, right? And the next part of the enhancements to change relate to the additional fields. As I said, you would now be able to add additional fields across all the different stages in the change workflow. And how do you do it? You can have 3 different types of additional fields ranging from text, numeric, and date and time. So we've already created up to 4 additional fields. So let me quickly show you this one. Why is this change riskier? So we have a default field called change risk in ServiceDesk Plus, right? Now, what we can do is, let's say someone maps the risk as high or critical. So you can ask another question, asking the change requester to justify why is this change riskier. So for that, we have picked a multi-line text field, as you could see over here. And we have not provided default value, which means there's going to be a blank text box. And we have mapped it to some of the templates that my organization would use. Let's say application migration, emergency changes, and major changes. And then we can define to which stage would this additional field be added to. So if you select submission over there, please do note that you'd have to go back to the change template and add them by dragging and dropping it into the canvas. So let me also show you how that works. So once again, we are back in the admin panel, and under templates and forms, we have the change template. So let's go into major change. And as you can see over here, the additional field that we created is now available. And I can simply drag and drop it over here. Now, once I've done that, I can quickly set up a field and form rule where I would say if the risk field is changed and if its value is high, display this additional field and mark it as mandatory. So this is how different capabilities in ServiceDesk Plus play together to help you tailor the application to your unique workflows. Now, apart from that, let me quickly jump into a change that I've already created. And as you could see over here, these 2 stages are blanked out because they are not part of the workflow. We just discussed this before. And across all these stages, we now have tasks and notes. So when we go to the review stage, as you could see, we have tasks and notes over here. You can simply create a new task in an ad hoc manner from over here, or you can add tasks from templates which you've already created, saving you time. So that is about tasks. And for notes, as I told you, you can tag different technicians as part of the note to notify them about some of the updates or any other message that you would want to provide to them regarding that particular change. And if it involves sharing backup plans, or if it involves sharing a detailed post-implementation review, because we are in the review stage, you can even add them as attachments over here, right? So this is a rich text editor, so you can do a lot more and comply with your change management processes. And let me also show you what the UAT and release stages comprise of. So you have details, you have the schedule for the tests, and then you have tasks and notes, which we just discussed. And in the release stage, you would again have, you'll be able to record any release issues that crop up. You can schedule the release, provide a downtime, and even associate the change to an actual release. So to those of you who are not aware, we do have release management as a separate module. So you can choose to create a release from within a change, or you can associate it to a uh, pre-configured or a release that has already been created. And when you choose to create a new release, let me quickly show you. Okay, oh, we've passed that stage, but what happens is if you create a release from within a change, you'll be able to carry over all the fields and overwrite the release field. So that is also a capability in Service Desk Plus. And once you perform this association, you can also see the downtime schedule, right? And we'll also see how we can print uh, different details about the change. As you could see over here, you can have the entirety of your change captured as part of one single document. Or let's say you are preparing to go for an audit of your change processes, an IT audit, and they're very interested to know how your approvals are handled. So you can simply select the approval stage, probably the review stage, the tasks, worklogs, and the approval summary. So as you could see, this again gives you the flexibility to pick and choose those data that you would want to print out and share it to someone else. Right, so that is about printing specific data items from your changes, and that brings us to the end of all the new enhancements as part of change management. Now, finally, before we jump into our much awaited AMA session, let's also take a look at some of the enhancements that we've rolled out for project management. So, project management comprises of different milestones and tasks, and we've also discussed how you can handle them or manage the project better using Gantt charts and resource management. Now, to help you to have greater control or governance over these projects, we have introduced new settings through which you'll be able to schedule projects with ease, capture the accurate costs that are involved in the project execution, and also define permissions on how the dependencies are handled, that is, parent tasks, child tasks, and the milestones. So, let me quickly show you how those work. Once again, we are back in ServiceDesk Plus, and let me quickly click on projects. So here's a project that I've already created. So as you could see, this project has a lot of milestones. It has a specific date, which is scheduled to end on December 28th, 2023. And as you could see, we have a bunch of milestones and a lot of tasks. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into settings. And as you could see over here, these are the new capabilities that we've launched. And let me enable the first capability. So the settings have been updated. Now let me quickly uh, edit the scheduled end date of this milestone. And let us push it to January the 4th. Now let us go back and see what has happened to our project. As you could see over here, the scheduled end date has also changed. Now, what happens is when we start off with IT projects, especially large scale projects, we do have a baseline understanding of how far this project would go into in the future, how much cost would it involve, what is the effort that will take. But these are very dynamic things, right? These might change as and when the economic headwinds change or the requirements or the scope of the project might change. It depends on a lot of factors. So to embed that flexibility into project management, these capabilities would help you. So when I enabled strict project management, it meant that whenever the milestones and tasks were adjusted based on differing circumstances, the project timeline is also adjusted. So this way, you're ensuring that all of these tasks and milestones are completed within the project's duration. You can also enable, dependency-based scheduling, which would ensure that any modifications in the parent tasks is carried over to the dependent task. Similarly, you can also auto schedule parent to child task scheduling. So all of these are very flexible capabilities, and you can pick and choose those which align with the way you are going to implement your IT projects. Now, apart from these, one uh, issue or one view that we keep hearing from IT technicians is that while they do designate a certain fixed timeline to complete projects, the actual timelines vary a lot. So what can happen is, if there is a dependent task, if there is a parent task and a child task, the actual time fields in the parent entity can be drawn from the child task. So that is possible. You can also, aggregate the estimated effort from the child entities, which means the milestones and the tasks. The same extends to cost settings. For example, uh, you would have these individual. Let me quickly save that setting actually. All right. So, and let me also, yeah, that's fine. The closure settings are not selected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select one of these tasks, and let me edit that by adding the actual cost is, let's say, $2,000. So once it's done, I'm going to click on enter. What I did is I just added the additional cost for this task. So let us go back to this project. As you could see, we have enabled the actual project cost to be added from the child entities. As you could see over here, the estimated cost is just 480. So let me quickly close this project and update the project. Now, what you can see over here is the actual cost, which was initially empty, is now provided with a value of $2,000. So this was extracted from the task to which I added the cost. So this ensures that if there are any other additional costs that have to be expensed during the course of the project, they will be recorded, and you don't have to break your mind over uh, keeping it very accurate on the project details, right? So some of the other settings have to do with closing the project. So you can choose to allow any operation to be performed on a work item even if the parent entity is completed. You can choose to close the child tasks, automatically close the child task when the parent task is closed. So this is again a capability that we discussed back in incident management. And you can also deny the closing of a project if there are any tasks opened up. So let me quickly show you how that works. Let's say that this task is still open. Let me quickly update the project. So let's deny the closing of the project because we have a lot of tasks and milestones still open, right? Look, yes. So you have these open, and now let me try to close the project. So as you can see, you're unable to close the project because a lot of milestones and tasks are still open. So this way you can establish or hard code ground rules within the ServiceDesk Plus application to have granular control over how your projects are executed. So that brings us to the end of the first segment. I hope all of you are able to, understand and take back some of the latest enhancements that we released over the last 6 months. Now it's time for the second segment, where we step into the AMA, or the Ask Me Anything session, where we have a special guest who is Vishnu Priya Kumaresh, our global head of customer success and support. So thank you, Priya, for being here today. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. And it's a pleasure to be on the masterclass session too. And I'm going to answer the questions which has been asked by our customers in our forums. And I hope you can also share some of the questions and insights that you would like to know about the product. So let's get into that.
Awesome. So let's quickly talk about the first question we have from one of our customers. So these are the questions which were asked in our forum. So their setup is not based on Active Directory or LDAP, and they are importing the users manually. The lack of options to remove undesired user profile fields or to move fields, default or customs one, is a problem for this customer. So they're asking, can better solutions be implemented?
Well, as you're all aware, ServiceDesk Plus is one of the most customizable product out in the market. So we have an option called as page scripts in the application, which will allow you to hide, show, or add any widgets in the application's request details page or in the request list view page. So let Siddharth show you that option. So you can navigate into the admin section, page scripts, and you can set when you want the scripts to be the scripts to start working on the request details page or on the request list view page. And now for this customer, he requested on the request details page, where on the left pane, on the right pane, there's a property called as requesters properties, and he doesn't want to show some of the important field values to technicians. So this was the actual requirement, and we suggested the page script option where you can hide the properties section in the request details page using custom functions and page scripts. Yeah.
Thank you, Priya. So I hope that answered this first question. And the second question is, the limit of 100 entries in drop-down field in user custom fields is also a problem. Can this be fixed?
Yes, it can be fixed. Right now, we have the default additional field framework for the user module. It allows you to add 100 values for a pick list at a time. But if you wanted to add some more, then you have to do it manually, which most of the customers would not prefer. So we are enhancing the additional field framework to allow to add more values to the pick list in a stretch. And I have a workaround for this. So anyone who is interested, if you can drop an email to hello@servicedeskplus.com with the subject starting as AMA and the query, I'll be sharing you the workaround for this.
Awesome. So let us jump to the third question. Is there a way to edit the built-in widgets used on the dashboard? If you cannot edit them, is there a way to see how they are pulling the information?
Well, most of the widgets are displayed in the product based on the SQL queries, which is sent at the backend. And these SQL queries are already programmed in the application. So that's the reason why you're not allowed to edit any of the widgets. But though you have some of the default filters which you can use to filter the data what you're seeing on the dashboard. So if you really wish to get to know the queries which are passed at the backend for these widgets, we can share you that. You can send an email to hello@servicedeskplus.com with subject AMA and the query. We will share you the list of SQL queries that gets passed on the widgets of help desk. Now, my suggestion for this is like you can create a new dashboard. New dashboard has many widgets, default widgets, and apart from that, you can also create widgets with the reports. So if you go into the reports and create any of the report with a matrix or a graph, then those reports will be listed under the add widgets section, and you can add them to your dashboards. Yeah.
Cool. So there's also another follow-up question to this. Is there a way to filter dashboards by region?
Currently, there is a limitation on filtering the dashboard data by regions, and this is a feature requirement which we are currently working on. But the workaround for this is, again, I would suggest you to create reports based on region, and you can add those reports as widgets in any of the dashboards.
Cool. So we are done with two questions, and The third question, we have a customer who using email to ticket functionality with a do not reopen option configured because their users continue the conversation via email, leading to the tickets getting reopened. While they wish to keep the current configuration, would it be possible to add some keywords in the subject line that is reopen to reopen the ticket?
Right. So this is some of the customers wish not to change the status of the request. Now, there are two suggestions that I would give for this question. One is we have an option called as custom triggers, which can be used to customize the request details page, the fields, values in the request details page itself. Now, the new feature that we have introduced in custom trigger is whenever there is a reply received by the requester on a ticket, you can write a custom function to set the status of the request to reopen. So for this, you will have to create a custom status as reopen. Now that you can just scroll up and click on the notification tab on top. Yeah, so this is a new functionality which we have bought in. And if you could just click on the option trigger, here you will find execute on action. Here you have option sent by technician or sent by user, or it can be a notification, or it can be a forward option based on which you can perform some of the actions in the request, or you can send some of the details to any of the external applications as well. So this is one of the most used functionality in our product. So the next option, which I would say is, if you are making the status of the request as closed, and because of that, you don't wish to reopen the ticket when a requester is sending out a reply, then you have an options under the advanced portal settings where you can set whenever there's a response for a closed request, you can either make the request stay in the closed status and create a new ticket, or you can reopen the ticket if the requester responds within a certain number of days. So this is also available. So whichever suits you best, you can choose the option.
Awesome. So you're done with 3 questions, and here's the 4th question. So this is a customer who have 50 technicians assigned to different sites, and their tickets are received by one common technicians and are also further assigned. Now they have to associate all the technicians to a common site, and due to which they are not able to use the request view option. And in some sites, one technician supervises multiple technicians and are unable to view their colleagues' tickets. And this customer wants to understand if business rules or custom triggers would help them view tickets in groups and assign to techs without disturbing their current setup.
Yes, there is an option available in ServiceDesk Plus. We can use a role called as SD coordinator. So when you assign the role SD coordinator to any technician, he or she will have access to all the tickets, even if it is assigned to a different technician. So the other option, what you can do is you can create a new role itself and assign it to the technician who is going to manage the entire queue. You have an option under the role to allow the technician to view whichever is assigned to them as well as to their group. So for this, you also have to create a separate group by which will be set default to any request that comes inside ServiceDesk Plus. Yeah, so you can choose any of these 2 options, which would best suit your requirement.
Great. So we're done with 4 questions, and now let's move on to the 5th question. So while fetching reports of technicians like tickets per day, there is no option for the actual calculation, meaning if someone is on leave, then also the system will consider the period without considering whether or not someone was on leave. So this causes this customer's tickets per day metric to not be realistic.
So if someone is on leave and if a ticket gets assigned to the technician, there are high chances where the ticket can get violated and the KPIs of the technician or the team itself will not be correct or will not give the right data. So to avoid this situation, I would suggest the technicians to configure backup technicians when they mark a leave in the system. So there's an option in ServiceDesk Plus under the scheduler. A technician can mark them as leave and then set a backup technician for them. So if any case is assigned to the technician who's on leave, then the request will get automatically assigned to the backup technician, whosoever the technician on leave is setting. Now, this backup technician can be assigned to the request based on two different timings, which is one based on the created time of the request and the other based on the due by time of the request. If the technician who's on leave falls on the same date as of the request created date, or you want to set it as the due by time of the request. So now that can be configured under the admin advanced portal settings, technicians. You can see this option what Siddharth is displaying on the screen. So whichever suits best for you, you can choose this option. Now this way, the technician who's on leave will not get any request assigned to him. The request will get automatically moved to the backup technician configured.
So let's also move to some of these live questions that have come up.
All right, so let's move on to the first question asked by Alex. So Alex wanted to know whether the application allows to change the color settings, whatever you set on the template. So Siddharth was showing how color customization can be done on problem template. Similarly, we have color customization for incident and service request templates as well. So he wants to know if a user is setting the ServiceDesk Plus application with night mode, how will these color settings be affected? The first thing is the colors, whatever you've set on the template will still be visible on the night mode, but then the person who is setting the night mode itself would not wanted to see any bright colors, so that, or he wants to have a saving thing. So that's the reason why he doesn't wants to go with the normal mode. He's switching it to the night mode. So the option what Alex was looking for is whether we can have two color settings, one for the normal mode and the one for the night mode. So right now that option is not available, but it's a brilliant question that Alex asked. So I'm going to take that back to my product management team. Thank you, Alex, for that. And yeah, again, so Alex has asked another question. So is there a method to set up an overlay against tasks? So the use case is to have one primary technician, but have other teams, technicians perform their task and identify the specific time of response. Is it possible? Or do you have to reassign the tickets to each technicians? So Alex, the best option that I would suggest is when you configure requests inside ServiceDesk Plus, you can configure overlay for the request. So here, you can actually move the request group or technician itself to another person, which in turn will actually calculate the OLA. Now, say for example, there is a user onboarding request which is being dealt by 3 or 4 different departments within the IT itself. So in that case, the ticket will be created and it will be assigned to the help desk group, which will do the configuration part of the system, and then it may get moved to the next group, which is the Active Directory group, who will be doing their options, their work activities. So you can configure SLA for different groups that would be working on the same ticket itself. And this again will be calculated in the time analysis sheet, which you will be seeing in the request details page. One of the question is like the functionalities, whatever we discussed on today's session, they're asking whether it is available on the ServiceDesk Plus cloud version as well. Yes, it is available on the cloud version as well. The next question is how to delete users not active anymore. The users created through mail import. Yeah, so we can run a report in the database to find out users who are not active, and then we can delete them from the backend. But we also have a new feature called as syncing of users, which is designed for the Active Directory users. So if a user gets deleted in the Active Directory, you can set the option in ServiceDesk Plus to delete the user from ServiceDesk Plus as well. So that is only for Active Directory. But if you are specific about deleting users who you have imported manually or through email, then the best option is to do via the backend. And you can drop an email to the support so that we can look into that and share the queries.
The Zia workflow is available in both cloud and on premises. Yes, we have it on cloud as well as on premises. Why is there a need to create templates for frequent problems, yet problem management is meant to be permanently fixing issues? Now, this template is meant to be created for different kind of problems that may occur in your environment. Now, say, for example, if it is going to be an application related problem, then there could be some set of information that you would need to collect. If it is going to be an infrastructure related problem, then there are some set of information that you would need to collect in order to perform the root cause analysis. So accordingly, you can configure the template. How to manage IT consumables like printer, toner in ServiceDesk Plus? When we assign one toner to any user, the count of the toner should get reduced from the consumable stocks. Now, this functionality of adding consumables can be done from the admin product type. You can add a new product. So you can add a new product as consumables. We already have a default product type. Default IT asset type as consumable. Now, when you add it as a consumable, it will not be displayed anywhere in the UI where the count will get reduced automatically based on the assignment of consumable. So that is not how we have designed, because generally consumables are set of resources which are very less in price. Now, for example, like printer papers or cables or pen drives, which is like even if it is being used a lot, it doesn't cost much to the organization. So that is what we call it as consumables. But when we talk about printer toners, which could be a little bit pricey than when compared to a printer paper, we can have printer toner as an component, as an asset component, and you can associate an asset component to any asset, a printer. And asset component will not take up any of your license that you have purchased for ServiceDesk Plus. We need to know about Zia workflow, so it will be helpful if you could let us know what you need to know about the Zia workflow. But anyways, we'll also be sharing the help guide on how to do the Zia workflow customization at the end of the session. You can go through that, and if you have any more questions, please write it to hello@servicedeskplus.com. How to manage IT consumables like printer, toners? Yeah, I've already answered that. How can we customize the existing Zia actions workflow? You can edit the existing workflow and you can add new actions. But if you wanted to edit the existing default actions and change it, so that is not currently available. You can add more actions and you can customize the workflow, whatever you have configured. That is possible. So how can I manage my consumables in ServiceDesk Plus? Like I said, you can add consumable product can you create an SLA in problem management? So right now we are working on a prototype to configure SLA for problem management, but we are looking for more real-time use cases on how an SLA will be configured, on what basis the SLA will be set for a problem. So Richard, it will be very helpful if you can just get in touch with me so that we can discuss more on it. It will be really helpful for us to build our problem SLA prototype as well. Yeah, and Ahmed, hi to you. Is default action button scripts in Zia workflow customizable? As I said, it is not customizable, but you can add more. IT assets alone will consume the license. Adding any component will not consume the license. You can, the other question is the default scripts in Zia workflow customizable? The button name is customizable, but the action, what you're doing, cannot be customized. How to reduce the stages in the change management? You can do this using the change workflow. When you create a change workflow, you can traverse between different stages. Now, for example, when you wanted to do an emergency change, you will not be going through all the 8 stages in the change. You will submit a change and you will immediately go for the implementation, and then you will close the change. So you'll not be doing any kind of planning, or you'll not be getting approvals, stuff like that. And it depends on different organizations' emergency change workflow. You can very well configure that under the change management workflow section under the admin. Can you show how to configure change management for cloud again, please? Saket, if you would be sending an email for all the participants on the session, he will attach the best practice on how you can configure change management workflows for cloud.
Yes, Priya. We'll actually be sending a recording in a couple of days to all the attendees.
Okay.
Yeah, so people can rewatch the settings and the configurations, right?
Yes. And is there a way to add CC fields in requests created via portal that acts similar to the CC field from a ticket created via email? Yes, it is possible. You have a field called as email ID to CC in the template. This acts very similar to how you have CC option in email. You have to drag and drop that particular field from the left pane when you create a template, and drop it inside the template canvas so that you can add the users whom you wanted to CC. Could you please share how we can create an action button from scratch, and also could you arrange a session specifically to work with Zia from scratch? Yes, we have videos which we have designed for Zia workflow customization. Sakit can attach that while sending the emails to the participants. How to create more than one duplicate request at a time? Used to be able to determine the amount of duplicates you wanted. Right now, you only have an option to copy the request. Okay. Well, earlier we gave an option where you can duplicate a particular ticket up to 9 times, but we are rethinking on whether to bring that back again, where you will allow where you will allow a technician to duplicate the requests. But right now, you can duplicate it only once.
Priya, there was actually a little drop in the audio. Can you just repeat that once again? That will be helpful for the attendees.
Sure, I will. So duplicate request option, right now you can duplicate it only for one time. Earlier we had an option to duplicate a request up to 9 times, but we restricted it because we have an option to create child requests. If you would like to create it, you have option called as add dependencies and for a request. So that is something which is available. But right now, you can create up to 1 duplicate ticket.
Thanks, Priya.
So the next question is, there was a requirement since long time about change freeze when it is on place. Change freeze and another option called on change collation. This is currently in development. Almost development is completed. It is on the testing phase. Once the testing is completely done, we would be releasing it. Could you please share how we can create an action button? Which I've already answered. How feasible it is to integrate Zia with ChatGPT? You can definitely use custom functions, which is available in the Zia, and incorporate a ChatGPT API and use that in the Zia. Vishnu, I noticed you add 2 stages in change management, UAT and release, but these 2 stages are not in the workflow. How can I edit the workflow to hide or remove stages? All the stages will be available. So under each stage, you have to add a status, and once that is there, you will see the UAT and the release. Sorry, release is not we have not configured it as a stage. Release itself is a separate component. So release will take you to the actual release module, which will in turn be associated to the change module. So release itself will have its own workflow. So you can customize the workflow in a way where you would traverse it according to your requirement. You set up change request approvals based on OT. Example, change is approved if less than 50% of the more than 50% of the approvers can approve. Yes, you have an option during the workflow configuration. You can set the CAB approvals to be recommended based on the approvals percentage. So it is like either anyone approves or all approves, or the first approval would be taken into picture. So that is possible. Is there a way to edit surveys after they have been saved? I'm unsure whether you're asking about the survey results or about the survey configurations itself. So if you're asking about the survey results, it's not possible. But if you're asking about the survey configuration that has been configured and you wanted to edit and change some of the functionalities, but I would like to know like why you would be doing it in first place, so that I can give you my answer for that, Richard. Can you add feature requirement as we want additional fields in task? Yes, that is something which we are working on. It's almost development completed. So we are in the testing phase of adding additional fields and tasks. Adding consumables to IT ServiceDesk Plus with reducing quantity option. Yeah, like I said, this is something which we are planning to bring in ServiceDesk Plus on premises. It's already available in the cloud version. That is work in progress in the on premises version. Regarding the CC field, I have tried it, but it does not auto-complete, and it is hard to compile for users if there are multiple emails in the CC. Is there a way to have a lookup for users' email? Yeah, lookup for users' email is actually present for the requesters, but it is not available for the technician. This is something, again, has been asked by many of our customers. I will definitely talk to my product management team to incorporate that in the product. How do you assign a backup technician over multiple dates? Example, 1 week of annual leave only seem to have an option to do on a day-by-day option in the scheduler. That is true. Baldwin, yes, it's true. Right now, it is being configured to do it day by day. We don't have an option to bulk set the backup technician, but I'll take that as a feature requirement. So I have another question. Can we have a provision where we can add group head? Yes, there is an option called as group roles under the admin section. You can configure a group role and associate a group member as a group head. And you can use this group head for sending any notifications or any escalations related to that group. You can make use of the group head.
User unable to view requests across sites. So there is a setting which is available in ServiceDesk Plus under the admin users. You will have an option requesters allowed to view. Now, if you set requesters allowed to view all sites, then a user can view all the requests across their sites. Saket, if possible, can you just show that in the application?
Sure. So I can open up the application.
Yeah, if you go to the, yes.
Yeah.
Users.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe any user, you can, no, that's a technician, maybe anything at the bottom.
Okay. We have
Yeah,
a user here.
Yeah. And if you could just, yeah. So if you see here, the one on the mandatory allowed, requested allowed to view only their request. So here you can actually edit and change it to all sites. So this way, you can allow the requesters to view tickets across their sites. Next question is on our IT users are managing 2 or more sites. We notice technician can assign more than one site, but normally users, we are unable to do so. Yeah, so that's how the product is designed to be precise. At a moment, a user is normally associated to one particular site, isn't it? So if I work for Zoho Corporation, Chennai office, meaning that I am located in Chennai office. But for work purpose, I may go to my another branch office, which is Bangalore. But my permanent location is always going to be Chennai. So I would like to know more about this configuration. Like at what situation you would like to associate more than 2 sites for a user. The other question that I've got is from Deborah. Are you able to generate an email to advise a group a task has been assigned to their group? Yes, we have an option called as notification rules, where you can where you can set the notification to be sent to the group users that there is a task associated to them. So that will be there under the admin notification rules section. That's possible. The other question that I have got is from Yap again. We are utilizing service catalog. Can we assign site administrator to add or remove users without them removing the other site users? It is always taken care by the global admin, not by the site admin. But is there any specific reason why you want the site admin to take care of user addition? Is something which I really wanted to discuss. With that said, right now in the latest version, a site admin can also add users to the help desk portal if they have the site admin role. It's possible, provided you associate them to the proper site. So if I'm a site admin and if I'm associated to Chennai and Bangalore, it means like I can add or remove users from Chennai site or Bangalore site. It's not like I can restrict a site admin to add users only in one particular site. That is not possible. And removal is not possible by the site admin as well. You can only add you can only add the users, but removal is not allowed because
that user or that technician may be associated to a different portal. So that's not possible. They can only add but not remove. Yeah, I've answered all the questions to my best of knowledge. If there is anything you wanted to know more, as Sakit said, you feel free to send an email to hello@servicedeskplus.com, and we'll be more than happy to answer all your questions.
All right, folks, thanks a lot for taking part in this final episode of this year's Masterclass series. So we've been doing this for a long time now. In the first season, we started off with, as I said, the four major practices. And in the next season, we focused on individual key capabilities, including templates, no-code, low-code automations, and integrations, and also an episode today on the new capabilities. So if you want to have any more questions, or if you want to find out how the product works by yourself, you can access the admin guide, keep track of our release notes. We also publish a lot of product videos that helps with quick understanding of both ITSM as well as our product. And a community is a great place to learn from your peers on how to customize ServiceDesk Plus. Now, apart from that, if you have any questions for us, you can write them to hello@servicedeskplus.com, or alternatively to support@servicedeskplus.com. And you can also access the support portal, whose URL is displayed in this slide, and or access these resources. So that's it, folks, for now. I hope you enjoy your holidays that are coming up. Merry Christmas and a very happy New Year. We will be meeting next year with an all-new series for these masterclass episodes. So until then, it's goodbye from me. Thank you, Priya, for being a guest on this show and answering these questions very patiently.
Yes, thank you so much for joining this session. It was really interesting answering the questions that you guys have asked us. Well, wishing you all a great New Year and a Merry Christmas. Thank you so much.